Amazon is a gigantic tentacular company reaching out into a variety of markets. Something that started as an online bookstore in 1994 now grew into an e-commerce and cloud hosting leader, entertainment provider, content creator, and device manufacturer, with investments in renewable energies, electric vehicles, and even space-based internet, all the while facing scrutiny over tax evasion and antitrust lawsuits.
Hell yes.
So, understanding Amazon goes beyond what most people know about it as an e-commerce giant, especially that, as you'll see later in this video, e-commerce is not anymore what brings the most money to Amazon, as counterintuitive as it sounds. But before we get there, we need to start at the beginning and understand how Amazon arrived at the point where it is today. In this video, you're going to learn pretty much everything about Amazon, and there are a lot of really unexpected, surprising, and borderline details and evolutions for its business model and future. We're basically going to open the Amazon can of worms. A lot of the things that are going to be said in this video are still assumptions and unconfirmed expert opinions on matters that are still going to be decided by courts. So make sure to stay until the end, and in the meantime, do smash the like button to help this video perform better on YouTube. It will help me tremendously to keep doing research like this. As I briefly explained in my older video, Amazon is an extremely innovative company. This aggressive focus on always trying something new is what brought them to where they are today. Their original innovation strategy was on sales and delivery channels. First selling books online instead of going to a physical library, then expanding the concept to more and more products. The development of devices such as the Kindle or Amazon Echo also emerged from the same innovation focus, since they are innovative sales and delivery channels. You can both buy and receive books on your Kindle device, and you can ask Alexa to order something from Amazon.com and then receive it by post. It doesn't always work though, like with the dash buttons, which were seemingly a good idea but that were discontinued. Amazon understood pretty quickly that in order to keep disrupting sales and delivery channels and maintaining customer service with shortest possible delivery times, they needed to perfectly master the logistics. That's when they started to establish more and more fulfillment centers around big urban areas, buying or leasing cargo planes, trucks, vans, and so on, and perfecting the whole process. But there's one detail which is very important to understand before moving further. When considering Amazon.com, the e-commerce website, it originally functioned as a retailer. A retailer typically buys goods from a manufacturer or a wholesaler and then sells them in small quantities to the end consumer, while adding its own margin on top of the price. But early on in its existence, Amazon made the risky decision to open up its marketplace to third-party sellers, meaning that other businesses could display and sell their products on Amazon.com as well. In this case, Amazon doesn't earn money by adding a margin to the price of the items, but rather collects a fee from those third-party sellers. The size of this fee depends on whether the seller decided to go the FBA or FBM route. To make it simple, FBA means Fulfillment by Amazon. This is when seller items are stored in Amazon warehouses and Amazon takes care of packing and delivery. Among many benefits, this allows sellers to access Amazon Prime, which dramatically increases sales compared to items which use a regular delivery but costs more in fees. FBM means Fulfillment by Merchant, and that is when the seller simply sells the items through Amazon's marketplace but handles everything else themselves. For the purposes of this video, the difference between FBA and FBM is not very important, but it's good to know. The most important fact to understand here is that Amazon is both a retailer and also a marketplace for third-party merchants. This creates quite a startling situation where merchants on Amazon Marketplace can sometimes compete directly against Amazon itself. Amazon can potentially see their data, and when they spot particularly demanded items from third-party sellers, they can just work their way to contact the manufacturer and sell their best products directly as a retailer. Also, Amazon went even further by creating the Amazon Basics brand. Here again, they likely benefit from data collected over the whole marketplace and can then integrate vertically even more by going higher up in the value chain. If this sounds extremely sketchy, that's because it is. and Amazon might even face serious legal challenges on this basis. The House of Representatives introduced a bill called Ending Platform Monopolies Act to break some Amazon businesses. And the European Union filed antitrust charges against Amazon on the basis of collecting too much precious data from its third-party sellers for its own benefits. Let's look at the numbers. In 2020, Amazon net global sales from its online store were about 190 billion. But that is only the Amazon retail part. When it comes to third-party sellers, Amazon generated $80 billion from all the fees that they paid. The total value of goods, though, sold through Amazon, including retail and the items sold by third-party sellers, was close to $490 billion in 2020, according to expert estimations. This is called the gross merchandise value, or GMV for short. As a comparison, Walmart's GMV for 2020 was $524 billion. Given that Amazon's GMV grew by 46% in 2020 compared to 2019 when it reached $335 billion, Amazon is set to pass Walmart and become the largest US-based retailer in the world. What it means is that even though third-party sellers are diving into Amazon in masses because they don't have much choice, Amazon also gets more and more control over them, which might harm competition in the long run. Originally, the antitrust laws only kick in when consumers are hurt by a certain monopolistic company because it can raise prices without enough competition. And although it seems that Amazon is actually helping drive the prices down so far, in the meantime, it squeezes manufacturers and third-party sellers, and by taking over the market, it will eventually be able to raise the prices for consumers once again when there is not enough competition anymore. This practice is called predatory pricing, and it might take years until such a situation materializes, but lawmakers don't want to be caught off guard once it's already too late to act. Especially that today, if we consider the number 236 billion reported as net sales in North America for 2020, this includes Amazon retail sales, subscriptions such as Prime, and fees earned from third-party sellers. All of this ends up earning Amazon a much smaller operating income of $8.5 billion. In comparison, Amazon Web Services, aka AWS, generates an operating income of $13.5 billion out of a revenue of $45 billion. This is something that you probably already heard of, but AWS is the real cash machine for Amazon, even more so than the original e-commerce business. Something that started as a side project ended up powering most of the internet and bringing Amazon the most money. So while it already seems that AWS can pretty much allow Amazon to practice predatory pricing in its other business divisions to harm competition, the reality might actually be even slightly worse. Let's go back to the North American 236 billion revenue and 8 billion earnings numbers mentioned previously. What the public is not allowed to see here is the operating income from either Amazon Retail or its third-party services separately, since it's all put together in one big basket. The assumption that some experts have is that most of Amazon's e-commerce income might actually come from these third-party fees and not even from its very original retail business. The potential implications of this might be huge. It could technically allow Amazon to practice predatory pricing on its own retail items while making money off third-party sellers that are already squeezed by a lot. And in the process, Amazon would collect all their data, then bypass them to start selling directly popular items under the Amazon Basics brand. And if for now the end consumer still benefits from Amazon's price pressure and gets better deals, this situation can gradually reverse once Amazon is in a more and more dominant position because its third-party sellers are getting out of the market.
Hell yes.
Of course, these are all assumptions, and governmental antitrust cases are only starting in the United States and the European Union to dig out the truth about Amazon's practices, which will be very long and exhausting battles. But Amazon does have all the cards to be in such a position, and consumers shouldn't be naive about the behavior of such gigantic corporations. Today they're nice, tomorrow they might not be anymore once they are in a position of absolute power. especially so that the changes in consumer prices might actually be extremely slow and subtle. Some items might already be increasing in price if a lot of sellers and manufacturers have been eliminated without the public noticing. Add to that Amazon Prime, which is another insanely powerful tool. To date, most US households have an Amazon Prime account, which allows them to benefit from fast shipping and access totally seemingly unrelated Amazon services such as Prime Video and music. Because of this convenience, 53% of all product searches start directly on Amazon. And inside Amazon itself, items using Prime delivery get much more attention. This makes Amazon so convenient that it becomes unavoidable, which does sound great for the consumers unless the prices start going back up once the competition is severely hurt, especially that Prime is a service that encompasses so many different things that nobody can really measure the profitability of it. If you think there are already enough conflicts of interest here, hold on, this is not over. This other line here, which generated $21 billion in revenue in 2020, is mostly advertising. Yes, Amazon is now a major player in online advertising. How? By making third-party sellers pay for ads to display their items in better positions on Amazon's website. I already made a video about it a few years ago and how Amazon was now directly competing with Google and Facebook. Back in 2016, Amazon's ad business was worth about $1.5 billion. In 2020, it reached almost $16 billion in the United States and passed the 10% market share milestone. But what's interesting for us here in this video is how, once again, Amazon's merchants are not only paying FBA or FBM fees while competing with Amazon retail itself, but also paying Amazon for advertising services to compete against other merchants and potentially Amazon itself, yet again. Basically, they are paying to drive themselves out of the market. Yeah, I told you, it's weird and still not over. Going back to AWS, not only is it the main cash machine for Amazon, which has the theoretical capability to finance its predatory pricing to drive out competition in completely unrelated industries, AWS itself raises eyebrows. So hear this. AWS is so good that it powers most of the internet. Some of the biggest websites and services use AWS, like for example Netflix. But Netflix is also in competition with Amazon Prime Video for who creates better content. So Netflix is competing against Amazon while also paying huge money to Amazon the more it grows. Money which is later used to invest into competing against Netflix core business, like buying MGM Studios for close to $9 billion. It doesn't mean that it's illegal, but it just goes to show the power that Amazon has. And I didn't even talk about Amazon's physical retail, such as purchasing Whole Foods and linking it to Prime benefits, or establishing Amazon Go shops, of which I also made a video a few years ago showing just how amazing this technology is. Just like it's convenient to use Prime for online purchases, it's also extremely convenient to go into Amazon Go shops compared to traditional ones. If these shops are set to take over more and more cities, you can easily see how more and more people will go to them for the same reasons. In addition to this, Amazon also invested $1 billion into Rivian, an electric car company that wants to compete against Tesla. It also ordered a total of 100,000 electric vans from the company to be delivered by 2030, 10,000 of which should already be operational in 2022, this being part of Amazon's strategy to become a carbon-neutral company by 2040. So as you can see, Amazon is an extremely far-reaching company growing bigger and more influential every year. If for now the consumer is actually benefiting from lower prices and convenience, this might not last forever once it gets into a dominant position in most markets. Lawmakers are getting anxious at its various business practices and the borderline sketchy competition with its own clients, benefiting from their data and own growth. The European proposal would want to forbid Amazon from having access to the sales data of its third-party merchants to avoid it having such an unfair advantage. But more radical ideas include splitting Amazon's retail and marketplace businesses or splitting AWS from Amazon. Actually, some experts believe that it would even be a great thing for AWS, which would grow even faster because clients would no longer be hesitant about financing their own competitor. But it would not be so great for Amazon's core business, and that's why Amazon doesn't want to do it. Also, we didn't even talk about employees in this video and all the P jokes. Even from Jeff Bezos himself, when he kind of confirmed that by saying,
"If you read some of the news reports, you might think we have no care for employees. In those reports, our employees are sometimes accused of being desperate souls and treated as robots. That's not accurate. Employees are able to take informal breaks throughout their shifts to stretch, get water, use the restroom, or talk to a manager, all without impacting their performance. These informal breaks are in addition to the 30-minute lunch and 30-minute break built into their normal schedule."
Whoa, sounds like too much freedom here. And before some radical capitalists say these people should be thankful for having jobs at all, just remember, mindsets are changing and people are starting to realize that there is more to life than work and that all employees should be treated nicely. Therefore, this image that Amazon has will only work against it as time goes. As I said in the beginning, this is a can of worms. Amazon is becoming too big to handle and the pressure to split some of its businesses is building up. If you enjoyed eating this can of worms, please give this video a like, it's the best sponsor it can have. And of course, subscribe to my channel to watch more. I have several other videos about Amazon that you can take a look into. See you soon!
Hell yeah!